Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers, the Awesome Health Podcast. And I have been just dying. I shouldn't say that, but I'm just so excited to be doing this interview. Our guest today is someone who has really achieved the performance side of the kind of Bioptimizer trend. We focus on aesthetics, we focus on performance, and we focus on health. And aesthetics and performance, this lady has just transformed what's possible for female physiques, and she's done it at an extraordinary early age. She's one of the world's top female professional bodybuilders. She's lined up an incredible array of wins. Of course, my background was in bodybuilding. I made it to the Mr. Universe, but that was it. I mean, there's a whole other dimension, and her level is beyond the beyond. And she is going to be competing this year at the Super Bowl of women's bodybuilding, the Miss Olympia. She's one of the favorites, and she's going to break down some of the myths around female bodybuilding. Also, what does it take to be at that level and to do it at the age that you are? You're just in your 20s. It's unbelievable. It's like, I can't imagine that you could be this good this early. So where the trajectory is, who knows? Natalia Coelho, welcome to the Awesome Health Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. And thank you for the opportunity to sharing a little bit about me with you all.
It's really amazing because, I got started in this whole field as a former bodybuilder, started training at 15. I think you did too as well. The only thing is, it took me 10 years to win my first show, and you're competing at the world's best in 5 or 6 years. Tell me, how did you get started? Like, what attracted you as a woman? Because a lot of people think this is a male sport, but it's not just a male sport. And it's people like you that kind of set the ultimate pinnacle, which drives the entire industry in a lot of directions. Like, maybe some people don't want to look that way, but because of what you're able to do, you change what's possible for women. You're able to provide an insight and an inspiration, or a point of reference to say, well, okay, I might not be a professional bodybuilder, but I certainly can, make my butt look good, or I can build some arms and, all that sort of stuff. How did you get started? What attracted you to the sport?
Yes, so I was raised in Brazil. So I was born in New York, but raised in Brazil. So I moved from Brazil back to US when I was about like 14, 15. And my whole life changed, like my family, my friends, everybody was here in Brazil. I got here speaking no English at all. So it was very tough for me to be in a new place. And I didn't know anybody. Sometimes you move from one city to another city and it's very hard. But moving from, one country to another one, it's a huge change. Yes. So I got here, and I always like it to be at the gym, in the environment, whatever. And I didn't have like a car or anything. Of course, I was very young. So I would just get my bicycle and ride to the gym. And this was like a place where I could find myself. Like, even if I didn't speak English or didn't know anyone, I could just like have my own time, being somewhere that I would feel good with myself. So I would always go to the gym the same time. I try to be very consistent with whatever I do. And that's what I was doing. And one day, a guy, a bodybuilder, old school bodybuilder, came to me at the gym, and he asked me if I competed. And I was like, competing what? I didn't have any idea what he was talking about. But he started talking to me about, bodybuilding, and he just like taught me some things, some like movements, some things that I can do more to, develop more biceps or shoulders or whatever. And I found so interesting that you can change yourself. You can change your body, you can change your health, you can change anything you want. You just need to want to, So I started like studying for that. I bought a lot of books, like anatomy books, physiology books. I started like watching podcasts and videos on YouTube. So that's how I started like not really wanting to compete, but just trying to learn more about the body, about what I can do to change my body. And then I pretty much read all books, everything you can think of, I would have, and I would, I bought the old school encyclopedia from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I read the whole thing. And I had like a lot of mentors, throughout this whole crazy thing going on that I just want to learn, learn, and learn. And I was in high school. So in high school, people didn't understand my desire to learn about the human body. People are like, oh, you're just like a nerd, you like to study. I'm like, no, I want to know more about the body. It just like fascinates me so much to know what we can do. We have the power to do whatever we want with our bodies. But anyway, so this guy that I met at the gym, he took me to one competition to watch the show. And I was like, okay, that's fun, but I don't think I would be on stage competing, because it's different to be, watching a show and to be competing at a show.
Right.
But before I noticed, the next year I was at the same stage that, I first watched the girls competing. I was on that stage competing, and I got first place. I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And I was competing with, girls like in the 30s, and I was just like, what am I doing here? Even when I was in the lineup, like getting ready to go on stage, the girls in front of me look at me and they're like, how old are you? And I'm like 17, 16, at the time. They're like, well, I could be your mother. I've been competing and training for 20 years. If you win the show, I'm going to quit. They told me that. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just starting now. But I actually won the show, and I don't know, it was just like an amazing experience. The time that I stepped on stage, I knew I would be, competing forever, like for as long as I could, because it's something that I cannot put in words. To compete and to feel like the energy and the time that you step on stage, you just like remember everything that you train, all your dieting, everything to get to that moment. So I don't know, it's amazing. It started pretty much from a guy at the gym who took me to a show to watch the show. And he started like, every day at the gym, pushing me. And he had a son, which he used to compete. His son was competing as well, but he didn't have like the drive. So the guy was like, well, I have all this like knowledge. I'm trying to make my son compete, but he doesn't want to. So when he saw me at the same age as his son with the drive and, like very focused at the gym, he started putting his energy into me and showing me, oh, look at this CD, this video here. Watch Jay Cutler's podcast. Watch this, watch that. And I started, like learning, and I just got into it. And I always tell everybody, once you competed, once you get into this lifestyle, you're not going to get out. It's like you step in, you try it out, it's going to be a long journey.
There's a couple things that I think are really interesting. And and when I was 15, I got into bodybuilding myself and read Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. And it was so inspirational for me. And the fact that, there was a lot of things I couldn't control in my life, but there was something that I could control, and I could see progress, and I could see the self-esteem out of the emerging aspects. But what's really unique about you, and you're probably the first female bodybuilder who is on the exact same trajectory as Arnold Schwarzenegger. The level that you're at in your physical development at your age, the only person that's been there was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And of course, bodybuilding wasn't nearly as competitive. A lot of people don't understand that. Yes, he was world champion at 23 years old, but the reality was there was only about 300 really good bodybuilders in the whole world. And now there's literally hundreds of thousands of bodybuilders that you're competing at. And frankly, for those who aren't watching on YouTube, you look like a female superhero. Like if I was like, you're not only do you have great development, but you're beautiful, you're attractive, you're very smart, you're intelligent, you've got all these things. What have been your secret to be able to be so focused and to learn so much at so level, and then being able to apply it to this it's extremely difficult crap. I don't think people understand, of all the sports out there, it's one of the few that's 24 hours a day, because diet is everything.
So
That's
like,
that level of intensity and focus and drive to be as good as you are.
I would say it's passion, you know, because a lot of people do that thinking about getting a trophy or thinking about, you know, looking good on stage. But when you have passion about doing something, when you do it because you love doing it, because you love the process, you love waking up at 5 a.m. to do your cardio, you love, you know, you're playing rice and chicken, you don't complain, you just enjoy the process. And that's been like that since day one. Since the day I decided to compete, I said, you know, like, I'm gonna enjoy every and you know, every and each day. And that's how it should be. Like right now, I coach a lot of athletes, and sometimes I see they complaining about things that they shouldn't. You know, if you're competing, if you chose to do that, you should enjoy. Of course, it's not easy. You know, like there are some times that you're gonna be tired. Sometimes that you have to do double session of cardio plus training, plus everything else you have to do in your life. But if you love doing it, and you have like, if you're focused and you know, like, you have a vision, you're gonna get there. So everything is worth it. So I think since the beginning, the most important thing in my life was, you know, to have passion for what I do. Every time I was like in school, I would go to classes excited to learn. Like the professors would finish the lecture and I would be like, no, no more. I want to know more, you know, keep going. And people would look at me like, what are you talking about? So it's just because I love it, you know, and everything that I would learn in school or learn in anything in the podcast, even yours, you know, like I took your 12-week course and I have a lot of notes from that. It's like everything that I learned, I apply to myself and I see the results. So it's pretty much, you gotta love what you do. And that's, I think it's like the formula to success.
Beautifully said. I think that's one of the common elements of people who are great at anything. They actually, absolutely, they fall in love with the process, not necessarily the outcome. And if you can master the process, the outcomes take care of itself. But at some point, obviously you had success early on. Was there a point when you started to think, you know, maybe I could go all the way? Like, was there a key moment that said, you know what, I could be a professional, I could be the world's best, I could be champion of the world?
To be honest, since the first time that I competed, I saw myself, I could see myself on the Olympic stage.
Wow.
I always believed that I could do it. And I think that's the number one thing. Like, whatever you want to do in life, you have to believe in yourself. If you cannot see yourself as a winner, you're never going to perform as a winner. I always tell that to myself. I actually wrote on my wall this exactly phrase. I put on my wall. Every time I would wake up, I would read that and keep that in my mind, you know, like reflect about it. So I always knew that if I wanted to, I would work hard for that. And one day it could take like 5, 10, 20 years, but I didn't care because it's all about the process. You know, I was enjoying the process. So I think it was like winning shows and becoming pro and getting to the Olympia stage was just like a result of all the passion, all the work, all the discipline that I had. And I don't know, it's like you cannot think about, I'm doing that to win a show. You have to do that because you want to do it. You know what I mean? It's like you
Mm-hmm.
have to be like excited about doing it.
I think that's one of the elements that a lot of people don't understand that get into fitness or get into a sport, or they're doing it for this kind of externalization, not necessarily the love, or not the exploration, or not the little minor things. What are some of the things that you do on a, I'm curious, I think people are curious, like, what's a day in your life look like to be at your level of physical development? What are some of the things that you absolutely have to do? What are some of the things that maybe people would be surprised about? And then anything else that you might add, that things that you do to be at the top of your game?
Well, right now things are a little crazy right here,
Right.
all over the world, because we are like in lockdown. But until last year, because I just graduated in university, but until last year, I would be like having very, very busy schedule. I would be in school, in class, like sitting down in school for at least 8 to 9 hours a day, every day, Monday to Monday. Even Saturdays and Sundays, I would be studying. And so let's say I woke up, I was in prep, so I would do my cardio. From my cardio, I would go straight to my university, which is like an hour and a half from my house. So it's a long drive. I would get there, be there for like 8 hours or so. I had like 1 or 2 breaks, like gaps in between classes. And that's when I would eat. Sometimes I was just very tired from my prep. I would take a nap in my car and then go back to class. I would finish class, go train. After train, I had to work. So I was doing like online coaching and stuff like that. So I had my laptop with me, and then I had to meal prep for the next day because I like to cook my meals, at least for like 2 days, but I was constantly cooking. I like to eat the meals fresh. So, just to maintain more of the nutrients content. But my day was very, very busy. And thank you, God. And that's when I was getting ready for the Olympia. Because sometimes it's like a smaller show, you can still manage things. But I don't know, like it was very tough. Sometimes I question myself, like, how did I do that? Because it was crazy. Even in the airplane, when I was traveling to Olympia, I had an online exam the same weekend. So I was studying on the plane. I was like in the hotel between prejudging and finals. I was taking my online course, my online exam. And my mom was like, "You're crazy. You're about to go to finals. You have a show to go." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I have school." And she's like, "If you talk to your professors, they're going to understand." I'm like, "No, I don't want to do that, because I was always the type of person who doesn't like to bother anyone. If I have to do something, I will do. I will get it done no matter what I have to do. I will, have my time management, do whatever I have to do, but get it done." So
It's, that's that's almost an unbelievable level of focus and discipline. And to be able to, I mean, I've competed, and let's face it, I mean, those last few weeks are not the easiest, as well as staying mentally focused. How
I,
are you able to do that? Is it just because that you're so passionate about what it is that you want to do or what it is you want to achieve that everything else just doesn't matter? You just kind of defocus, like you just put the blinders on and that's all that's going to go happen? Is that how it works?
yes, I mean, I don't know if it's because of the way I was, raised, that like my grandfather is an admiral of the Navy, Brazilian Navy. So I always watch him like very strict, very like he was very methodical about everything he did. And I always admire him a lot. So I don't know if that's something that I had inside myself to, like grow up seeing someone like that. But I always been very focused. When I have a goal, you can put as many obstacles you want on my way, but I will get to my goal. I'll get to like final results. Whatever I want to do, I will do it. So I believe, as you said, it's passion. Because if I wasn't passionate about it, if I didn't love what I was doing, I would never be able to go to what I did. It was crazy. Like in the beginning, I was working at a gym. I was a personal trainer, and I opened the gym. So the gym used to open 5 a.m. I would drive to the gym, open the gym 5 a.m., stay there from 5 to 1 p.m. 1:30 would start my classes. So I would rush to the university, take my classes, stay there for like maybe 6, 7 hours, leave there, go back to the gym, train a few clients, train myself, go home, study, cook, eat, and do everything that I had to do for the same thing next day, waking up at 4 a.m. And sometimes I had to do the cardio before opening the gym. So I would wake up earlier, do my cardio 4:30, open the gym. It was just like very hard. And a lot of people don't see that. They only see like, okay, she looks good, she's on stage, she goes to the gym, she trains for 1 hour and that's it. She has good genetics. But genetics don't wake up at 4 a.m. to do what I did.
So true. And oftentimes there's a lot of people who have, I would say, better than average genetics in any given sport don't have what I call the above the shoulder genetics, the mental discipline and toughness, or the heart. One of my former coaches, who's coached, I think, over 400 titled winners, I asked him one day, I said, what do you think really makes a champion in your experience? And he said it was heart. What are some of the obstacles or challenges other than the logistical stuff out there? Like, what are some of the things that were challenging on your rapid rise that came up for you that people might not know about, or they might not understand, that you've had to overcome? Because a lot of people say, well, that didn't happen. You talked about the time schedule, but is there something that you can, and then maybe how you overcome it, if there is any?
Yes. So here's the thing that I think nobody knows, because everybody sees the pictures of me and my mom always together, every competition, everywhere I go. My mom's like my biggest fan. But in the beginning, it was not like that. She did not like at all bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. She was very against that, because when I started competing and training to compete, I had to say no to a lot of things that teenagers wouldn't say. I didn't want to go party. I didn't want to eat what teenagers eat. And like, okay, it's weekend. I was excited because the gym would be empty, you know? Like, okay, nobody's at the gym, so the gym's all mine. And my mom's like, go out, go to the movies, go do something. I'm like, no, I need to sleep. I need my anabolic sleep. I need to sleep and wake up rested, you know? So in the beginning, she thought I was a little like crazy. She's like, well, you're missing your best years of life. And as I told you, I moved from Brazil to here, and I started competing here. I never competed in Brazil. So my family still lives in Brazil. And when my mom told them, oh, Natalia is going to start competing and doing this and that, everybody there was like, that's not a female sport.
Right.
Like,
right.
She's going to become a man. She's going to, be too masculine. And like a lot of things against me. My mom pretty much did everything she could to stop me. And for example, you know that bodybuilding is not a cheap sport. So there are a lot of things involved, even like supplements, health supplements, they're not cheap. If you want quality stuff, you gotta invest money on that. And as you always say, I will never forget that. There's nothing more expensive than a product that doesn't work. Oh my God. The day you told me that, I took with me forever. But anyway, so I would have to start paying for my own food, because I want food, like special foods that is more expensive than regular food. So my mom is like, Natalia, I'm sorry, but we cannot afford that. I'm like, no problem. I'm going to work more hours. I'm going to do whatever I have to do, and I'm going to pay for my food. So I don't know how many times I ate like oatmeal and tuna, because it was like the can is like $1.
Yep.
But that's why I was waking up so early to go to work before, going to school, because I wanted so bad to have my food, to, be able to afford for my things, instead of just like relying on somebody paying for me, my mom paying for me. And I actually like, after a few like months, my mom saw that I really wanted to do that. And she's like, you know what, if that's what you want to do, I'm going to support you, because you're going to do no matter what. I know you. So I better support you. I'm like, yeah, that's right. She started like trying to understand a little bit about the, how the sport works. And I show her a lot of videos about competing, about like, I think there was, I forgot the name, but it was like a video showing what a bodybuilding life looks like. And I show her, I started like trying to teach her the process so she could get used to it. And since then, she just like started supporting me more and more. And today, like, she doesn't miss a show. Literally, sometimes the last show, she's like, I can lose my job, but I'm not missing your show.
Wow.
And still there, and she almost lost her job. But anyway, so I think it was very tough. It was an obstacle for sure, because financially speaking, I was only 15 I had to get a job. I didn't speak English. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a car. I would go like to the gym, buy my bicycle, ride my bicycle. And if you come here to Florida, where I am, everybody knows me as the girl in the bicycle because I would go always at the same time, the same path, the same thing. Like everybody knows me riding my bicycle since I was 15, about like that age. But things get better, and I always knew that it was just a phase. No matter what you go through, it's temporary. So I knew it wasn't be like that forever. And one like advice that I give to a lot of girls who are young and they're just starting and trying to get into whatever goals they have is to remember to keep in mind that it's temporary. Like when I was going to school and I was taking pre-med classes. So it was very, very heavy on me. I would be studying for like, let's say 1 hour of class. I needed to study for 4 hours just to get ready for the class. So I didn't have time for that, but I would make time. And I kept telling myself, it's temporary. Soon you're going to remember that. You're going to remember that, it was like time flies, you know. So I think to have a goal, to have a vision that everything is going to pass through, it's just a phase, it's the best thing you can keep in mind when you're trying to achieve something.
That's a really powerful concept, I think, for people to get, is that, when you have that clear vision, it makes it easier to kind of deal with whatever challenges you're having in life, because it's like, okay, I've got that vision, and so this is going to pass at some point, and we're going to go through this and whatever. And I'm so committed to that vision. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Switching gears a little bit, you kind of alluded to as your mom was first on the outside in talking about female physique development or your family members and stuff. What are some of the challenges, and how would you speak to, particularly to men and women who have a misperception of what it is to be what I would call a female physique artist? Because for me, when I did the sport, it's a sport, but it's also art. There's an artistic component to it. And I think it was captured really well by Arnold Schwarzenegger in Pumping Iron when they did the event at the Whitney Museum, which actually funded Pumping Iron because they ran out of money. And the whole thing was, is bodybuilding a sport? Is it an art? And causes this debate of the intellectuals and the artists. And, it was a whole thing that really thrust bodybuilding into the mainstream world. How do you address the perceptions, or people saying, oh my God, like her biceps are bigger than mine, or how do you exude what it is to be a female? And of course, this is a big conversation in the world today with women, and what women can do, or what women can look like, or what women can be like, or how they choose their lives. Because you're obviously on a very visual, impressive state. Anybody can have a personal feeling about something, but you're bigger than life. Like, it's like, there you go, voila, boom, there, take a look at this, like there's no hiding it. How do you deal with that? How do you think about it? And how do you feel about it? Because I'm really curious about that, because I think it's fascinating.
Well, I think it's like nowadays people have to realize that there is not such a thing as, female and male sports, like gender, or I think a lot of people have too much like misconceptions about what female bodybuilders do, what they don't do, and what we have to do, what we don't have to do, because it's just funny to see like what we can do just by training and dieting. Like we can totally transform our bodies. And people are like, no, but you're a girl, you cannot have bigger biceps than a man. And I'm like, why not? Like, if you train, you can get bigger than me, but you don't train, so it's not my fault. I just think like I like the way things are going right now, because I think people are starting to realize that we can do whatever we want to do, and people are always going to judge us no matter what.
Right.
So you just have to accept that and let the haters say whatever they want to say. But a lot of people are going to support you as well. So it's kind of like it's a tough place to be, because you're gonna have to deal with a lot of things, a lot of comments that male bodybuilders don't have to. Like, what are you gonna tell a male bodybuilder? Oh, you're too big. That's a compliment for them.
Yeah.
Now, when you tell like a female that she's too big, sometimes this gets to her mind. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm too big. Am I fat? Am I look good? Am I gonna like intimidate someone? But the bottom line is, are you really concerned about what they're saying? You know, are you happy with yourself, with how you look, with what you're doing? Because if you are, you're just gonna let them talk.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because I always share with people, bodybuilders, I think to walk on stage as a bodybuilder. So you step on stage in a public era wearing almost nothing under the critical eye of judges who are looking at every flaw, and probably the most critical audience you could potentially have. I think bodybuilders are, you know, it's like somebody walks out on stage in single digit body fats, they're like, they're fat, you know, they're all, you know, it's retarded. Like, it's so, like, the standards of physical development are so high, and so many people are insecure about their physicality or how they present themselves, wherever they are on the spectrum. Do you think that subjecting yourself to such an extreme place has actually given you like a better sense of self or more self-confidence? How would you see that experience?
Absolutely, 100%. Because like, even like literally in all aspects of my life, bodybuilding has taught me how to just have confidence, you know, like to do whatever I want to do and to go there. Like, okay, so let's say I had a speech to do in class, and it was my first speech. I never spoke like publicly, and I had a lot of accents. As you can tell, I have a Brazilian accent, very strong. And if I haven't competed before, or if I was in bodybuilding, I don't think I would be able to do as well as I did. Because after that speech, a lot of people came to me and talked to me, like my professors. My professors were very smart. They work like in research area, in hospitals. They are like clinical staff. And they talked to me like in a whole new level. People started talking to me and with another eyes, looking at me with another eyes. Because just like I went on stage, I got the microphone and I was talking as everybody understood me, even though I know a lot of words. Sometimes people don't get it because I talk too fast or whatever. But I was so confident on stage. And by the first time that, like the first step that I did on stage, I was like, okay, in my head, I was like, imagine you're going to compete. You know, you train for that, you prepare for that, you're there. There's no way out, you know. So when you're about to compete, when you get on stage, you have to forget literally everything that you have in your mind and focus on at the moment. Focus right there, because you only get one chance. The judges are gonna look at you. You have maybe like 10 seconds to make impression. If you don't impress them or whatever, they're just gonna be, oh, whatever, next, you know. So I think I apply, even nowadays, I apply a lot of concepts that I learned from bodybuilding, from the sports, you know, discipline, everything that I learned, I apply to everything in my life. Like when I go to a job interview, when I'm talking to clients, when I'm talking to someone, it's just like there are no words that can express what bodybuilding has made to me, how this has changed my life in all ways possible.
The Bioptimizer mission is to help more of the world fix their digestion at a core level. The truth is, your digestion is only as good as your enzyme levels. Imagine trying to build a house with a tree. It's impossible. You need to chop the tree down into small pieces. Similarly, in order for your food to be used by your body, it must be broken down into a bioavailable form. And that's what enzymes do, converting protein into amino acids, fats into specific fatty acids, and carbohydrates into usable energy units. We start out with an abundance of enzymes, and that's why kids can digest just about anything really quickly. The thing is cooking food kills enzymes, as they cannot survive at temperatures above 118 degrees. So years of this ends up depleting our bodies and leads to weak digestion. Taking digestive enzymes like masszymes, which has an incredibly high level of protease for digesting protein, as well as other critical enzymes like lipase, amylase, and others is a total game changer. Suddenly, you strengthen your digestion, eliminate gas and bloating, boost metabolism, and multiply your energy. Most importantly, you fix your digestion at a core level. To get started with Masszymes and to save 10% on your first order, go to masszymes.com. That's MASSZYMES.com and use the code MASS10, MASS10.
It's so interesting because Arnold Schwarzenegger, when I was 15 years old, said in his book, Education of a Bodybuilder, that he was able to achieve success in life because of hard work, self-discipline, and a positive attitude. And I had never really heard that in the community that I heard about hard work, but the self-discipline and the positive attitude component, and you obviously radiate all of these principles. Like it's an echoing of kind of the things he said. And he said that literally everything he achieved in life, he learned in bodybuilding. So going from the physical side to the mental side, how do you see your career trajectory going? Because it's obviously on a rocket ride. You're stepping on stage. I mean, you're like 2 times, I think you won the Arnold's contest. You've met the king, as they say. And you're obviously heading to be the queen of the sport and maybe setting in a career that might set up the all-time Hall of Fame as you're tracking. What is your vision for the future, seeing that you're at such a high level at this age already?
To be honest, like I have so many goals, so many like visions. Like I think I always tell people that I'm like the mini Arnold, because I see myself doing exactly what he did. You know, he came from another country. He didn't speak English. He didn't have a clue about how to get to where he wanted to, but he was driven. He was passionate, and he did everything he had to do. And look at him now. You know, like he's the legend of bodybuilding. Everybody knows him, and I don't know. I don't want to just to compete. I don't want to just to win titles. I want to be the image of female bodybuilding. I want to be like an ambassador of the sport. I want to show people what the sport is about. I want to show them that it's not only about competing. It's not only about getting the trophy. You know, I just want everybody to see my passion and get inspired by what I do, not only in competing, but like, oh, she followed her heart. She did that. I can follow my heart. I can follow my dreams. You know, I just want to inspire people. And I think that's going to, you know, drive me, like take me very far. As far as competitions go, of course, my ultimate goal is to win the Olympia as many times as I want. People always ask me, how many times would you want to win the Olympia? I'm like, there's not like a settled time. Oh, I want to win 4 times because the current champ won 4 times. No, I want to win as much as I can. As much as like I am healthy and passionate, you know, to do what I'm doing, I won't stop.
Beautifully said. Let's talk a little bit about training and diet just a little bit. I'm very curious about that. Like, how frequently do you train? What's the diet like that you're entailing in? And does that change throughout the years, like off season, on season content, like all that sort of stuff? Because I mean, I'm looking at your competitive seasons and it's just like, I don't even know how you peak for that many contests in one single year. I did 3 in 1 year and I thought I was going to die. And here, you know, you're winning like 6, 7 titles in a year. So it's like, can you explain to people the difference between maybe off season, on season, and what those would entail, or maybe a day like training or dietary wise? Because I think people are fascinated by that.
Okay, so I'm going to share what I do, but that's
personalized.
Like,
yes.
That's to the extreme, because I'm the type of person that is like either 0 or 100. I don't have between, you know. So either I am doing my best or I don't do it at all. So when it comes like to dieting, I eat clean all year round. And that's why I can compete as much as I do, because it's a lifestyle. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. What you see the most nowadays is people competing. They eat super clean, they eat well, their protein, their carbs, everything is like weight on the scale. But after the show, they boom, explode. You know, like they rebound, they have a lot of problems, they get like these famous and a lot of problems like health wise, and they regain everything they lost. They start feeling bad, just like you said before in many videos that you did about how important it is to not bounce back. But anyway, so that's why I try to keep my diet pretty clean all year round, not only because of the competitions, but because I care about my inside. And I think that's number one. You know, you have to realize how important it is if you want to have a long life, not only like as an athlete, but as a person, a regular person. You have to watch what you're eating. And people are like, oh, but I drink 2 gallons of water a day and I do this and that. Okay, but every detail matters. What type of water you're drinking, you know? There are so many little things that people don't realize that can make a huge difference. So talk about my diet because I'm going out of...
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's great. And I think it's really good to contextualize that like those little tiny details compelled upon you have an exponential effect. So go ahead, keep going.
Yes. So the difference between my pre-contest and my off-season, it's pretty much just the amount of foods that I eat. So let's say I'm going to compete, I'm going to start prepping. My food slowly go down. I do some carb cycles. So I do like low carb day, 2 days a week, 2 days in a row, and a third day I do like a higher day. But it pretty much depends on how my body's responding. So I've done 29 shows so far, and none of my preps were the same. Every prep changes because your body changes daily, you know. Like some shows I had to peak earlier, some shows I didn't peak at all. Some shows I cut water, some shows I was drinking 2 gallons of water the night before the show, which is crazy. Most people just cut water. So I think you have to listen to your body and to know how your body works so you can adjust things. But I've been eating 6 times a day. Right now I'm in a little off season, but it's not really off season because I'm never off. So I call it improvement season because I'm
beautiful.
Trying to improve. Because to say that I'm off, I think you're gonna hear me saying that I'm in off season maybe 30 years from now when I'm, you know, setting down. But for now, I'm still in improving season. So I'll be eating 6 times a day. I have carbs, all my meals, pretty much coming from sweet potatoes, oatmeal, rice. These 3 sources are my favorites. That's what I do the most. And protein, about 20 grams, 25 grams of protein per meal. People are like, oh, but 20, 25 is too little to be a bodybuilder, to be an athlete. I'm like, no, it's not. If you're absorbing the food, you don't need to do like extremely amounts of food. Especially if you're taking all the help, you know, like health supplements to help you to break down the food properly, there's no need for that. And I do broccoli and asparagus are my favorite vegetables. I eat that like pretty much since I was 15, every meal, at least 4 times a day, I'm eating that just because I like it. And it's funny because people think, okay, she always liked vegetables, so it's easy to, you know, diet if you like vegetables. No, it's not, because you can teach your body to like a certain food. It's just like about the gut bacteria and everything that is going on inside your body. You can reteach like how your cravings, for example. Like your brain is something that is constantly changing. So just by eating something and telling like your body, okay, produce this type of enzyme to break down this type of food or whatever, you can totally program how you feel, what you crave, what you like. But yeah, I eat 6 times a day. I train, right now I'm training 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 days off, and on my days off, because I'm in improvement season, I do not change my diet. I still eat pretty much the same food. That's when my body's recovering. So I do need the nutrients because I trained the day before, and the following day my body needs those nutrients, to rebuild whatever tissue was broken down. And when I'm in prep, when I'm getting ready for competitions, no, I do probably like half of the carbs or 1/3 of the carbs that I'm having on my training days. These little things make a huge difference. People don't realize, but every gram of food makes a difference. So in prep, I always have 6 meals as well. That's why I try to have 6 meals in my off season. So it makes easier for me, like to just have a schedule, and just change the amount of foods, the macros. But let's see. Yeah, 6 days and 6 times a day, carbs, protein. I have just like healthy fats. I put some oil, coconut oil on my foods. I put some almonds or avocado or whatever it is in 3 of my meals. So I have 6 meals. 3 of the meals have added fats. The other 3, I just have a little bit more of carbs. So it's just like a balance to not have too much carbs and fats at the same meal and feel too full. Let's see. Yeah, on prep it's hard to say because every week I have check-ins with my coach and we change the diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Now, training wise, are you intensity person with low volume, or are you a high volume type of thing? Because there's kind of two schools out there. There's like the volume trainers, which I would say follow in the Arnold Schwarzenegger camp, and then maybe the intensity people, which would be the Mike Mentzer, Dorian Yates style of training. Do you think there's either or do you follow one particular style over the other?
I believe you don't have to do one or other. You can always do a mix of both. You have to do what your body responds better to. I like to do more like a volume type of training because I think just lifting heavy weights, by the experience that I had with other people, other athletes, by what I listened and have studied, it's just like too hard on your joints.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're just like putting so much like pressure on them that your career is not going to be too long. So you have to be smart. The most important thing is to be smart, train smart, and push to your failure. Sometimes you have to do more reps. Sometimes if you're strong, you can do heavier. But I would never go to the gym and do something that I can do more than 12 like reps easily. That means to me that is too light, too easy. So I try to keep my reps in the range of 8 to 10. So I would say it's like moderate to heavy, but still I like to do some supersets, some drop sets. I like to play with my training variables to make sure I'm, giving different stimulus to my muscle.
I think a lot of people underestimate how much art and science, like the prep, the tweaking, the feedback, learning about the physiology and how your body responds and seeing those changes in the mirror and how tuned in you have to be to really perform at your best. Is there anything that you do on the mental preparation side or the psychic side that allows you to stay at that level of performance for so long? And or any tips? Or do you do conditioning? Do you do psychology stuff? Do you do NLP? Do you do any programming or affirmations? Is there anything that you do that allows you to kind of go to that next level?
You know what? I do meditate every day, even like 5 to 15 minutes. It can be something very quick. If you're driving, you woke up and you're just like getting ready to have your first meal or whatever. I do that like literally every day. And that helps me to like put everything together, think about my day, think about my goals, think what am I gonna do today to get me closer to that goal. And that's one of the things that people are missing a lot. They don't stop breathe, and think about things. They just wake up and go and do things like, in a rush. No, I like to take my time. I am like the kind of person who needs to plan ahead everything. Like my mom tells me all the time, if I want to have like 1 hour watch a movie with you, I have to tell you like a week before. I'm like, yes, because it's not about the hour that I'm watching the movie. It's about what I'm doing around this hour. So I think meditating has helped me a lot to stay focused, especially, when you're competing for so long, so many times a year. When you meditate at least like 3 times a week, I think it's, doable. It helps you to see your goals, to see where you are, to see what you need to do, and to have like an inner peace, of, okay, I feel good. I know what I need to do. I know where I am. It's just like some little tools that we can use to feel better and to feel more like kind of not lost, because sometimes throughout the prep or throughout whatever you're going through, you just feel lost. And you have to keep reminding yourself, what is the ultimate goal? Why are you doing that?
Beautifully said. I remember the days when I would be sitting there and, my girlfriend at the time would, well, when can we go out? And I'd have to think about it because, okay, it's going to be a Friday. Yeah, we could do that Friday at 7:00. Cause I was the same way. I was working 2 jobs, training twice a day, doing the diet and the preparation and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to ask you a question that I think a lot of people would be curious about is, does a person at your level have time for romance or people in your life or these type of things? Because people kind of wonder. I know people, you don't have to answer it, but I'm curious because I know a lot of people like, how does that work for someone at that level? Or how does athletes such as at your level deal with those type of, some people would say, distractions or the emotional side of life or the intimate side of life?
Well, I would tell you that. So the last 5 years, even if I had time, I wouldn't want anyone in my life because I knew it would be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I needed like whatever extra time I had, I would be investing on my knowledge on like I had so many goals and so many things to do in the day that if I had one little time, one extra time, I would fill it up with something that would improve, like thinking about the future. And as I told you before, when I do something, when I commit to do something, I want to give my all. So if I'm in a relationship that I feel that I'm not giving my best because I'm focusing on my career, because I'm focusing on school, because I'm focusing on the show that I'm getting ready for, I feel bad. I feel like I'm not doing, like, it's not Natalia. Natalia has to give her 100%. If I have a boyfriend, I want my boyfriend to be like, I want to be the best girlfriend in the world. So right now, like, I think I have more time management, like my life's a little bit better in the sense of, being able to divide my priorities. I know how to get ready for a show. I know what it will take me, how many hours of this and hours of that. But in the beginning, I just wanted to focus in the show, my career in school. So, yeah, I think if I would have a boyfriend, I don't have a boyfriend at the moment, but it would definitely have to be someone who understands my lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
who respects my space, because that's very important. I need my space. And I'm pretty sure all the athletes who are watching this agree with me that even though you're in a relationship, being an athlete requires a lot of patience, requires the person to understand your lifestyle in a whole new level. So I'm pretty sure would be an athlete or at least someone who competed before, who know what we go through, because it's not easy. It's not
Mm-hmm.
easy at all. You competed. You know how it
Yeah,
is.
I totally get it. And I think that's a really important point for people to understand because there's so much, I would say, on social media, which a lot of people are connecting with, particularly young people, when, finding a mate and getting attractive, and it's all about look at me, and it's a component, but it's kind of window dressing Because at the end of the day, if you want to achieve what it is that you need to achieve, you need to be very clear about what your values are, what your goals are, and what that structure is going to be. And even though a lot of people might find you attractive or be, obviously you're going to get all these kind of inputs and people coming after you and things like that, you're very clear and kind of focused on what it is that you need to do and understand what are the requirements. And I don't think a lot of people really understand the requirements it is to be like with any professional athlete, let alone a bodybuilding athlete, which is a 24-hour day. There's no off switch in bodybuilding. What is your suggestion? Because I think your position is really powerful in the standpoint. What is your suggestion to women, particularly who I think oftentimes feel a pressure to compromise their goals or their values to fit in with the lifestyle of what their man wants or their guy wants or their partner? How is it that you're able to hold that and maintain that power as a woman to say, no, this is important to me. This is what I'm going on. I'm going to do this thing. And so what if you can't make it out? How did you get to that, or what would you share with women who have trouble with that?
Well, I would say you have to love yourself before you love anybody else, because the thing is if you don't love the life that you are creating, that's your future, maybe you love someone today, but this person can cheat on you. This person can do something to, hurt you or make you feel sad. But you're never going to do that to yourself because you have the power over yourself. So it's if I want to get to somewhere, I can just work my mindset and get to this place. But I cannot control what other people are going to do. I can control everything I do. I can control my emotions. I can control my actions. I can control the outcome of everything that I do. So I think the girls out there who are in a relationship and struggling with that, they need to talk to their partner, because if he's not supporting you, if he's not helping you to get to your goal, not understanding you, maybe he's not the right person. And nowadays I think it's even easier to find someone like that, because a lot of bodybuilders, male bodybuilders, support their girls. I see they train together, they prep the meals together, one help each other, oh, you want me to, I don't know, buy a chicken or do this or do that. So I think the person really have to have the same lifestyle, otherwise it's not going to work, because as I said, every little thing makes a difference. So let's say, oh, okay, my boyfriend wants to go out today. It's Friday night. That's what, boyfriend and girlfriend do. But I'm getting ready for competition. These hours of sleep are so important to me. Am I going to just go out with him? Or is he going to support me and say, no, let's stay home. Let's cook something, just watch a movie, something, understand what you're going through and support you, because not many people will do it. So it gets to a point where you have to analyze things and really think to yourself, is this person helping me to achieve my goals? Or does he just want me to be by his side and do whatever he wants and only thinks about himself? I don't know. I'm not like that. And that's why it's very hard for me. I raise my standards too much, because I do my very best to be where I am. So I want someone in the same level or better than me to push me. I don't want to be to feel bad to tell my boyfriend that I have to train. Sorry, but I cannot do that because I have to eat at 6, or because I have to train now, because I have cardio in the morning. I don't want to be in this situation. So I think pretty much it's the person cannot make you feel bad. That's the most, the bottom line. You have to feel comfortable to tell him, no, love, tomorrow I have cardio at 4 a.m., so I have to sleep. And he's going to tell you, okay, no problem, go sleep, rest. That's important for you. It's important to me too. So we got to be in the same boat, going to the same direction,
It's very well said. And I love the clarity around it and understanding. And it's not, hey, it doesn't work. It's just an alignment of values and understanding of what you're trying to do. And Tony Robbins talks about, if you go to his Date with Destiny shows or these type of events, he's like, the one thing that you can tell with people in their lives is what kind of standards they have. Goals are one thing, but standards are another. And for example, when you see someone with your kind of development, it's really clear where your standards are relative, not only just to the population, but also inside your sport. And that's what's kind of put you at that elite level. And you see that with virtually every high performer. Tom Brady in TB12 talks about the standards that he has and what he incorporates on a daily basis to do that. And you can go back in the day to Arnold Schwarzenegger, how when he was early in acting, and they would say, you need to crawl up these rocks and cut your knees up and all this sort of stuff. We don't want you to do it again. And he goes, no, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hang on this high wire for 12 hours when no one else would do it, because it's those little moments where you kind of flip the mind, to overcome. The mind goes, I have a saying, where the mind goes, the body will follow.
Yes, it's true. I agree.
So what do you do? So I'm leading up to this one. Like, what happens when the little sneaky things come in? Like, I want to have this food, or maybe I don't want to go training today. Like, does that ever happen to you? Has that ever happened? Do you ever crack a little smidge, or do you never break ever on anything?
I think I am like the toughest person you are ever gonna meet about that, because I never ever, I can tell you like with 100% of, like, I can affirm to you that I've never cheated, not even 1 gram of food, like extra food. For you to have an idea, if I have a scale and I'm supposed to eat 30 grams of oatmeal, if the scale says 32, I will take off 2 grams of oatmeal. But I am that meticulous, So of course, cravings come and go. It's normal. I'm a human, but I just ignore them. And I know it's just like my bad bacteria telling my brain something, and I tell her back, no, I'm not feeding you. That's what I do. Because I think once you study the human body and you understand the physiology, what is going on inside you, you know why you're getting these responses, like this. You know what is craving, what's going on inside me for me to have like the hormone asking for sugar or for carbs or for whatever. So once you understand that, you kind of like, okay, I can deal with that. I understand the reason why I'm feeling that way. The same thing with prep, sometimes you're very tired and people are like, oh my gosh, you look sick, eat something, eat a pizza, you need a pizza. And I look at them like, no, it's just my body, like my body composition is changing. My body's feeling it. So that's why I feel that way. So it's kind of like everything is connected. And one thing that I learned in school is connected to how I'm feeling right now, that is connected to an experience that I had before. So I think all of that together helped me a lot when it comes to cravings and things like I don't know, just like the need of eating something different. But there are also a lot of things that people can do nowadays when you're craving something sweet. There are so many recipes that you can do with whey protein, eggs, and Greek yogurts, or, a few things that you can use. Foods from your foods that you can cook in a different way and makes you feel better.
That's super great. What are a couple of things that people don't know about Natalia that they would never guess? Like maybe it's like, for example, I was listening to George St. Pierre talk on Joe Rogan, and like, what do people don't know? And he's like, I'm fascinated with dinosaurs. And he went on this whole tour. You'd never imagine he's into dinosaurs. So is there anything out there that you think that people would be surprised to know about you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think, let's see. Well, I love dancing.
Yeah, what type of dancing?
Well, it's Brazilian song. Like here, people don't really know the Brazilian songs, but in Brazil, we call funk or sertanejo, or, like some types of music there that are very popular and that I used to dance a lot when I lived there. I would go out like just to dance with my friends. And I also love playing soccer. I used to play soccer every weekend in Brazil. But since I moved here, because of my lifestyle and my busy life, I haven't played. But these are two things that I like to do and that I haven't done in a while. And I believe people don't have a clue that I do.
That's really cool. Do you think that some of that kind of that movement in dance and soccer contributed to your athletic abilities as a bodybuilder?
Yes, another thing that I think that I believe helped me a lot was that I was in ballet classes. I did ballet for a long time because my
Mm,
father is a professional like ballet teacher or whatever she was for like, I don't know, 30 years or so. So every time I would go to her house, she would be like, Natalia, posture.
right,
Like a little kid, but I would be sitting like that. She's like,
right.
posture. So nowadays, I cannot sit like this, not even like in the airplane or when I'm studying. It feels wrong. I'm always with posture. You're never gonna see me like curved or anything like that. And this has helped me not only on stage with the presentations because the ballet gives you a
Hmm.
posture, but also when training. So I have like I always have perfect back, and like the form of my exercise are always very like proper because I have the foundation and the muscles in place. Let's say like that.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people who start out in ballet or gymnastics really cultivate well-balanced aesthetic physiques and present well. And, I think you're well known for how well you not only do you have the physical development, but you're able to present it in such an essence because there's an art to moving on stage that gets people's eyes to follow you. And I think it's part magnetics, part the way you move or how you hold yourself. You talk about 10 seconds where why in a lineup of the world's best are your eyes drawn to some person? And it's almost a transference of energy, and it's
Yeah.
hard to explain. And one of the things that I learned from the sport, which led to my speaking career, was how to hold people's attention on stage, because I'm like, now I can speak now. Like before I was standing there in a marble bag. It's like, God. It's just, I can't say anything, can't do anything. I'll look at Joe and it's over in 10 seconds if I'm not ready. You're getting ready this year for the big one, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, the Miss Olympia. It's a new format. It's back. It's gonna be bigger and better than ever. What's going through your mind? Do you think about competition or do you think about yourself? And what do you see happening this year?
To be honest, just by you talking about the Olympia, I get goosebumps. I'm not even joking. Like I have
I
such a
feel
weird.
it. Yeah, no, I feel it.
It's very very weird because I don't know. I think it shows like all the emotions and everything that I've been through just to get to this stage. But I am very confident as always. I've been doing everything, literally everything I can to bring my best package. I try not to think and focus about competition because that's something I cannot control. All I can
Mm-hmm.
control is myself, my training, my diet, my health, my body. So what I can do, I promise you, I will be doing my best and more. But I'm just very excited. I was looking the hotel, the flights, everything yesterday because they published the new dates and everything. But I cannot even book the flights yet. I think it's like only 6 months before or something like that.
It's like
Anyway,
we're almost at Christmas time, isn't it? That the show is or something?
yes, the week before. It's gonna be December 16th to the 20th.
And where is it going to be held this year?
It's gonna be in the Planet Hollywood. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be insane. It's the first time like they're bringing back to the Planet Hollywood, but it used to be at the Orleans in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So now they changed.
Wow, that's super incredible. And do you actually see yourself standing there getting the trophy? Do you get like winning and the feeling? Do you visualize those things or do you hold those things in mind?
Every day, every night, like that's all I can think about it. And I'm not the type of person who's like, oh, I'm not gonna think about getting first place because if I'm not the winner, I'm going to be upset or whatever. I don't get upset, It just like fires me up even more, makes me want to like work harder to go back there and fight for the title. So I visualize myself every day. I can see myself as a winner, and I know I will be one day or another. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I've been doing everything I can. And like last year, I placed third. The year before, I placed second. So I got the judges' feedback. I've been working on that. And at the Arnold, I brought what the judges told me at the Olympia, and I won. So I talked to them after the show, and a lot of people are like, why are you asking for feedback if you just won the show? And I'm like, because not every show that you're going to be standing next to the same girl. So there's always something to improve. Doesn't matter if you're the winner or the last place finisher, you got to get feedback. You got to, try to improve whenever you can. So I talked to them, and they gave me such a positive feedback. They said I improved what they wanted me to improve. They said they like what they see, and they told me to bring the same package to the Olympia. And I'm like, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to work on that and just make sure I'm healthy and good and happy and bring my best.
It's super beautiful. I think that's really important. And what I've noticed about all the great champions throughout history, they're not competing against anybody else. They're competing against their self yesterday, their self last year, and then once they hit the crowning achievement, and I think it's only a matter of time. If I think it's going to be this year, based on what you brought to the stage this year with the Arnold Classic, which was mind-boggling. Then it becomes, how great can I become? Like, what is that limit? And I've noticed that with all of the champions throughout history, and you certainly have that spirit and that energy and that vibe. So it's a real honor to have you on our podcast today, to capture you at this moment in time, because what happens after this, things change. There's all kinds of different pressures. It's one thing climbing up the championship level. It's a whole other thing once you're there.
You know what? I wish more people would stay humble, because I see so many people, when they get to the top, when they get to the, where they want to be, they change. They are another person. They think they're better than everybody else. And like, I was just comparing a few things when I was at the Olympia, and people would come and talk to me. They're like, oh my gosh, you're really talking to me? You're really taking a picture with me? And I'm like, I'm no different than you are, Like, I just accomplished this because I work hard, and you are working hard too. You can get to where I am. So I just wish more people would be more like friendly and more like humble with each other, even like competitors. If you see myself on backstage, you're going to see I talk to everybody. I help the girls help me. And that's how it should be, because this sport is not easy. And the few athletes who are actually, working to bring their best to stage, we are community. We need to help each other. That's the way we're going to grow. That's the way this sport's going to grow.
Beautifully said. And I think that's one of the fun parts of the sport is, being backstage before that final thing, and everything's done in those last things, and you're trying to get every little thing back, and to be in the room. Yeah, and to be in the room that you're in with the world's best, the best there is on the planet at any given time, that very, very small of 7.5, 8 billion people on the planet, you're the best of the best of the best. And it's an honor and a privilege to be in that situation. I know you've been very graceful with your time with us today and everything. So what are some of the things you do? Where can people connect with you or see your social media, or the types of things you're doing, or things that you're promoting? How do they follow you? All this sort of stuff. You're so inspirational. Can you share with people how they can find out more about what it is that you do and what you're doing for other in your career?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody can get in touch with me through my Instagram, which is IFBB Pro Natalia Coelho. I am always there. I am personally answering all questions, all comments, so you can just direct message me. And on my Instagram, you're gonna see my website, my email. So there's many forms to contact me through there. I do have online coaching, and I'm sponsored by MPA, a few companies that I have promo codes, and everything's listed on my Instagram as well. There's a link there on my profile, so people can get in touch with me there. I do have a fan page on Facebook, which is Natalia Coelho, my whole name. But they can also find that on my Instagram. So I would say the main source is my Instagram. They're going to have access to everything.
Super amazing. And thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's been fascinating to climb into the mind and the lifestyle of truly a world-class athlete and a world-class champion and a great human being. Thank you so much for being on the Awesome Health podcast today. Folks, all of the links are in the Awesome Health podcast show notes. You've seen it here first. The Miss Olympia to be, I've called it right now, Natalia Coelho. She will be a champion, and she will be a champion for the long time. Heed her words, apply them in your life, and reap the rewards. It's another great episode. Thank you for being here, Natalia.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. See you next time on the Awesome Health Show by Bioptimizers. Take care and be healthy.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: how to get away with eating sugar. Hey, look, sugar is normally one of the worst things for you. But let's be honest. I mean, we all cheat from time to time. And here's a little trick that will ensure your body benefits from the sugar. Now, before you eat or drink anything sweet, take 5 to 8 capsules of P3OM. The patented strain in the formula devours sugar so fast it literally doubles in the body every 20 minutes in the presence of sugar. That doesn't mean that you can or you should eat a bunch of sugar or sit around all day doing that. But on the days that you do cheat, or you go after one of those maybe meals that you wouldn't normally do, this ensures that you get something in your gut that eats the sugar. And it's not going to feed the bad guys or spike your blood glucose nearly as much. So to learn more about P3OM and its sugar-devouring and protein-digesting properties and how it can transform your gut and metabolism, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.